The sun was bright over Jurassic World. In a special place lived 4 raptors. Their names were Blue, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. They were a team. Blue was the leader. She was smart and brave. Charlie was the youngest. He was always curious. Delta was a great hunter. Echo was strong and loyal. They were not just a pack, they were a family. They loved to run through the tall green grass. They loved to play games of hide and seek among the giant ferns. They always stayed together, watching out for one another in the big wild park they called home. One sunny afternoon, Blue saw something strange. It was hidden under a big leafy plant. It was a stone. But this was not a normal stone. It glowed with a soft, gentle light. The light was many colors, like a rainbow trapped inside. Charlie ran over first. "Ooh, shiny!" he chirped in his raptor voice. Delta and Echo followed, their eyes wide with wonder. They had never seen anything like it before. It seemed to whisper a secret song, a melody that pulled them closer and closer. The air around the stone felt warm and tingly, full of a strange and ancient magic. Blue was cautious. She sniffed the air around the glowing stone. It smelled like rain and flowers. It did not seem dangerous. She looked at her pack. They all wanted to touch it. "Okay," Blue decided with a nod. "Together." They gathered around the mysterious object. One by one, they reached out a clawed hand. Blue went first, then Delta, Echo, and finally the excited Charlie. Their scaly fingers touched the smooth, warm surface of the stone all at the same time. The moment they made contact, the stone pulsed with a brilliant, blinding white light that filled the entire clearing. The light faded as quickly as it had appeared, but something was very wrong. Blue looked at her hands. They were not hands anymore. They were tiny yellow wings. She looked at her feet. They were small and orange. She looked at her friends. They were not big, strong raptors. They were tiny, fluffy yellow baby chicks. "Peep," Blue chirped, her deep raptor voice replaced by a high-pitched squeak. Charlie, Delta, and Echo all looked at each other and chirped in surprise. They were small enough to fit in a person's hand. The big, scary jungle now looked like a giant, terrifying forest. For a moment, the 4 little chicks just stood there, frozen in shock. Charlie wiggled his new fluffy tail feathers and tumbled over. "Peep! Peep!" he cried, which meant, "What happened to us?" Delta pecked gently at a leaf that was now bigger than her entire body. Echo tried to make a scary raptor face, but he just looked like a cute, grumpy ball of fluff. Blue knew she had to be the leader, even if she was only a few inches tall. She took a deep breath and chirped, "Peep, peep, cheep." This meant, "We have to find that stone and turn back." It was a big mission for such tiny creatures. Their first big challenge was a small puddle. To a raptor, it was nothing. To a chick, it was a giant lake. "How will we get across?" peeped Echo nervously. Blue looked around. She saw a very large leaf floating on the water. It was like a little green boat. "Teamwork," she chirped. With a lot of pushing and peeping, they managed to get the leaf to the edge of the puddle. One by one, they hopped aboard their makeshift raft. Charlie almost fell in, but Delta quickly grabbed his wing with her beak and pulled him to safety. They paddled with their tiny feet, slowly making their way to the other side. On the other side, they met a new friend. It was a very large butterfly with wings like stained glass. The butterfly fluttered down and landed on a flower right in front of them. The chicks had never seen a butterfly so close up before. It was beautiful, but also very big. Charlie, being the curious one, chirped a friendly peep at the butterfly. The butterfly wiggled its antennae as if to say hello back. It didn't seem scared of them at all. The butterfly then flew off, circling above them for a moment before disappearing into the trees, showing them a path they hadn't seen before. Following the butterfly's path, they found themselves in a garden full of giant flowers. The flowers were red, blue, and yellow, and they smelled so sweet. This part of the park was much friendlier than the deep jungle. They hopped from one soft petal to another, their little adventure starting to feel fun. They even played a quick game of tag, chasing each other around the thick stems of the flowers. For a little while, they almost forgot they were mighty raptors. They were just 4 little friends, exploring a wonderful, colorful world together, their chirps and peeps filling the air with happy sounds. As they continued their journey, the world kept getting bigger and stranger. They saw a Compsognathus, a small dinosaur that they used to ignore. Now the Compy looked like a giant monster. It saw the 4 fluffy chicks and started to run toward them, thinking they would be an easy snack. "Peep!" squeaked Charlie in fear. Blue quickly thought of a plan. "Hide!" she chirped. They all dove under a giant mushroom just as the Compy ran past. They held their breath, their tiny hearts beating fast. The Compy looked around confused and then ran off to find something else to chase. They were safe thanks to Blue's quick thinking. Their teamwork was getting better with every step. To climb up a big tree root, they had to help each other. Blue would find the best path. Delta, who was the best jumper, would leap to a higher spot. Then she would reach down with her beak and help pull Echo and Charlie up. Echo, being the strongest, would push from behind to give everyone a boost. It was slow work, but together they could climb almost anything. They were a tiny team of fluffy heroes working together to overcome every obstacle that stood in their way. They learned that even as small chicks, their pack was still strong. Later they came to a stream. The water was moving too fast for their leaf boat. They were about to give up when they saw a family of friendly Gallimimus dinosaurs drinking from the water. These dinosaurs were tall and gentle. Blue bravely chirped at the biggest one. The Gallimimus looked down and saw the 4 tiny chicks. It seemed to understand they needed help. The kind dinosaur gently lowered its long neck, creating a bridge for them to walk across. The chicks carefully walked up the dinosaur's neck, across its back, and down its long tail to the other side of the stream. They chirped their thanks before continuing. The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. The little chicks were getting tired. Their journey had been long and full of challenges. They huddled together under a large leaf for warmth. Blue looked at her pack. They were scared and small, but they were also brave, and they had not given up. They had faced down a Compy, climbed a giant root, and crossed a stream on a dinosaur's back. She chirped softly, which meant, "We will find the stone tomorrow. We will do it together." Her friends chirped back, and they all fell asleep, dreaming of being big raptors again. The next morning, the chicks woke up with new energy. As the sun rose higher, they saw something familiar. It was the clearing where their adventure began, and in the middle of the clearing, sitting right where they left it, was the magical stone. It was still glowing with its soft rainbow light. A wave of excitement went through the tiny pack. "Peep, peep, peep!" They all chirped happily. Their long, difficult journey was finally over. They had made it. They had worked together, and they had found their way back. Now, all they had to do was touch the stone one more time. They ran as fast as their little chick legs could carry them. They hopped over twigs and dodged small rocks. Nothing was going to stop them now. They gathered around the magical stone, just like they had done before. This time, they were not just curious, they were determined. They knew what they had to do. Blue looked at Charlie, Delta, and Echo, and they all nodded. Taking a deep breath, they all reached out at the same time. Their tiny beaks and fluffy wings touched the warm, smooth surface of the glowing stone. The world around them once again exploded in a flash of brilliant, warm light. When the light faded, Blue looked at her hands. They were her strong, scaly hands with sharp claws. She looked down and saw her powerful raptor legs. She let out a loud, happy roar, and her pack roared back with her. They were raptors again. They were big, strong, and fast. Charlie did a happy jump, and Delta and Echo nudged Blue affectionately. They looked at each other, their familiar raptor eyes full of relief and joy. The jungle didn't seem so big and scary anymore. It was their home, and they were finally themselves again. The raptor pack never forgot their adventure as tiny chicks. They learned an important lesson. It did not matter if they were big raptors or small chicks. Their strength came from being together. Their teamwork and friendship could help them overcome any challenge, no matter how big or small. From that day on, Blue, Charlie, Delta, and Echo were closer than ever. They continued to run and play in their jungle home, a stronger and wiser family, forever bound by their incredible chick-sized adventure. And they made sure to stay far away from any strange, glowing stones.